Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
Water is one of our most important resources. It's essential for life, industry, and the environment. Whether we're taking a drink or checking to see if we need an umbrella, we are affected by water quality and quantity on a daily basis. On this episode of Newsmakers, we will discuss how our community gets its water, what threatens our water resources, and the ways that a new group in Vanderburgh County is working to prevent flooding. That's coming up next. Welcome to WNIN Newsmakers. I'm Noah Alatza, the Chief Communications Officer for the University of Evansville. To learn more about a new proposal for treating the water we use in Evansville, we visited with Vic Kelson. He's the Executive Director of the Evansville Water and Sewer Utility.
As the name implies, we provide drinking water and sanitary sewer services for residents of the city of Evansville. Our water services also, we sell to some wholesale customers who sell to basically the rest of Vanderburgh County. So if you don't have a well and you drink water, it probably came from us if you're in Vanderburgh. Yeah, we've been working for a number of years on replacing a water treatment plant that's over 125 years old. That's down on the river, obviously. We take water from the river there and we treat it to drinking water standards. That plant is actually in two pieces. There's the older part and the newer part. Well, the new part was built in the 1970s, but it's still in really fine shape. So we were originally looking at replacing the entire facility and building another facility down next to Waterworks Road there. That turned out to be far more costly than we could afford under our rate structure, so we started looking at building a sort of a hybrid, reusing part of the old plant and replacing the older part of the old plant. And then we started looking at some previous groundwater studies and came up with the idea of renovating the newer portion of the existing plant and then blending in treated groundwater to mix with the water from the river. And it turns out that that appears to be quite a lot less expensive than the previous proposals. The so-called hybrid surface water approach, which was keeping part of the old plant and replacing the other part, looked like it was going to come in the $250 million range. The groundwater solution, if we take the new groundwater plant and renovate the newer portion of the old plant, that looks like it's going to come in the $150 or so million range. So in round numbers, we hope we could save capital costs up to $100 million perhaps. Part of what started us looking this way is that there's a group of contaminants that are pretty newly regulated called PFAS, PFAS, that stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Those are the so-called forever chemicals. Some of them are carcinogens, and they're basically everywhere. They're part of making nonstick cookware and fire foams and you know, those cardboard boxes from the restaurant with the coating inside so stuff doesn't stick. Yeah, that stuff too. So PFAS is basically everywhere. And a couple of those species, chemical species, are present in the water from the river. Of course, there's a lot of industry and a lot of people living upstream of Evansville. So we have concentrations there that may put us in the situation where we'll have to build future treatment for PFAS in the not too distant future. So we were looking at possibly building this new plant for $250 million and then coming back a couple of years later and building another 9-figure project perhaps to treat for PFAS, and then that adds operating costs too. So When we started looking at groundwater, the question was, is there PFAS in the groundwater here? We have really nice aquifers here, just like most floodplain communities along the Ohio River have similar geologic settings. It turns out when we tested it, there was very little, if any, PFAS that showed up. We built a well, tested it for 72 hours, and we had non-detect for all the measured species of PFAS chemicals. So that looks pretty promising. So blending, a 50-50 blend of the river water with the water from the aquifer looks like a nice alternative to building new treatment facilities. In a lot of places, we actually, communities pump groundwater because of droughts and floods, that it's a more consistent supply of water, that you're going to get similar water quality all year round. Water levels in the aquifer will rise when the river comes up, and they will decline when the river level goes down, but it doesn't have the same effects on water quality that you would have in the river. If you're pumping straight out of the river, you're getting what's there today. When you pump from an aquifer, you're getting rainfall that may have recharged 20 or 50 or 100 years ago and mixed in with water that may have come from the river and from other surface waters. So it's a different kind of animal. Groundwater tends to average everything out over time, a lot more than taking straight from a river. We have a contractor, an engineering contractor under contract right now who's working on the design of a groundwater plant. Part of that project will also be doing the site assessment and determining where we want to put the well field and where we want to put the plant. Because our intention is to treat river water and treat groundwater and then blend it after it's treated, we'd like to have the treatment plants close by one another. So chances are the groundwater plant will be located also on Waterworks Road right near the existing plant. There's a number of advantages, but one of them is that it reduces the amount of changes that we need to make to our distribution system. We would still be injecting at the same injection point that we are now. Now, a lot of communities they're predominantly groundwater communities will have multiple well fields, and they will inject at various places in the distribution system. In order to do that, we would have to make changes to our distribution system that we're not ready to do yet at this point, where our intention is to work with this blended approach. So it's convenient to do it in one location so that all our customers get the same water quality. We don't want to be in a situation where, for example, half of our system is groundwater and the other half is treated river water. In that case, some of our customers would be getting the relatively lower PFAS groundwater, and others would be getting the relatively higher PFAS river water, and then we'd have to treat that. So it's better for us to try to blend at one location. So chances are the well field and the treatment plant will be really close to the existing plant. There are a number of other benefits to using the groundwater blending approach. One of them is that groundwater is basically the same temperature all year round, which will reduce the amount of temperature variability in our distribution system. One of the things we do experience is a lot of additional main breaks in the winter when the water's cold. This is a pretty common thing. So we're hopeful that that mixing groundwater may help a little bit with main breaks in the wintertime. It'll also lead, in all likelihood, to lower concentrations of things like distribution byproducts and so forth. One other aspect of our plan is that when we treat the groundwater, we understand that the water quality won't be the same as river water. The biggest difference is it will have more hardness. We are planning to treat the hardness to basically maintain very similar water quality to what we have right now. So I know there are people who've said groundwater's hard and we don't want hard water. Well, we'll work on that, and it's all part of our plan to make this be as similar as it's been as we possibly can going forward. One of the things that this whole exercise of working on looking at a groundwater system or augmenting with a groundwater system here in Evansville is it's really important to know that groundwater, surface water, drinking water, sewer water, stormwater, there's really only one water. It shows up in different places. It has different characteristics in terms of what contaminants are there, what suspended solids are there, how much erosion is happening, all of those kinds of things. So we're trying to think holistically here at the utility to make sure that we're not missing opportunities to have our different functions, our water side and our sanitary sewer side, to make things as cooperative as possible and to treat this as one utility, not two. And in some cases, that may be just as simple as looking at a parcel of ground and deciding, should I put water infrastructure here or should I put sewer infrastructure here? And what will be the implications of that for the other utility as we go forward? So we really are trying to pay attention to the fact that we provide both these services, and it's necessary for us to be thinking about the whole system in the long run rather than thinking it is two separate things. Well, our bills right now are set up based on a rate case that was done 5 or 6 years ago, before my time. That rate case had a number of step increases, and we've been going through those steps. This project will not affect any of the existing rate case. What it can do, though, is if we're successful in saving a lot of money, what it will do is it will either delay or the next rate case or make it smaller. So it will be, rather than having to take on building a PFAS treatment facility or building a whole water treatment plant, it would be mostly dedicated to distribution system improvements and things like that. And we do see those coming down the road, but certainly not in the next couple of years while we're building a water plant. The project to repair the sinkhole at Riverside and Chestnut is continuing. It appears that we're going to be able to add sewer lining to the Chestnut Street sewer, which will be much cheaper and less intrusive than replacing it, which is great. The portion of the sewer that's right there at Chestnut and Riverside where the major failure happened, that's fully excavated. All the sheeting is in place to make sure the hole doesn't collapse. We expect to be laying pipe there soon, and we need to replace that piping and put in a manhole, and then we're going to be relocating a diversion structure that used to be in the southbound lanes. We're going to relocate that out of the traffic lanes to make it a little easier for us to work on. And we do expect to be on target for getting some traffic lanes open around the end of October, plus or minus. There will be more things to do, but we will start getting the traffic lanes open as soon as we can. If you're wanting to reduce your water bill and conserve water, the best tools we can provide to you are at ewsu.com/mywater. We also have the MyWater app for either Apple or Android phones, and it can send alerts that let you know that you're using too much water. You can configure how all that goes, but you can monitor that way. If you do that, you can closely monitor how much water you're using every day. You can set up alerts. So mine, for example, I just bought a house, and I've set the alerts to let me know if I use 100 gallons of water in a day. So the other day when we filled up the hot tub that came with the house, I got an alert. So I know it works. But those kinds of things will help you know that you're leaking water somewhere. It could be you have a faucet left open in the yard or a toilet that's running or something like that. So you take advantage of those tools and monitor your use, because it doesn't take too much of a running toilet to cost you a lot of money. And the other thing to remember is if you're a residential customer, your sewer bill is calculated based on your water usage. So when you save on water, you also save on sewer. It'll also tell you about things like boil water advisories, and it will tell you, you can also pay your bill through there. So it's really a one-stop shopping for customer service with EWSU.
Next, to discuss a new organization in our area that focuses on the Pigeon Creek Watershed we have Linda Freeman, the Vanderburgh County Surveyor. Linda, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I hope I can get a little information out to the folks that are involved with this, that have gotten a bill for this, because we did start billing this year for the Pigeon Creek Watershed Development Commission.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you about what does that Watershed Development Commission entail? How did it begin? And kind of walk me through your role in that commission.
Well, it's a watershed area, which is basically, it's a very large area, and the water eventually gets to Pigeon Creek. So that's kind of what a watershed's all about. So in Vanderburgh County, Pigeon Creek has not been a regulated drain, or the county has not had a mechanism to be able to bill or work on Pigeon Creek. We didn't have jurisdictional rights over it. But now with this Watershed Commission, this is going to allow the Watershed Commission to, we started billing. People would have saw that on their property tax bill down here. And Pigeon Creek, and a residential property would be billed for $7.
And when did that start?
This came out, their bills came out with your May property tax bill, and then it's $7 total, so people could pay $3.50 and $3.50 for their portion of the watershed.
And in layman term, Linda, where that money is going to enhance, I'm assuming, Pigeon Creek, the watershed, what do those enhancements look like? I'm assuming it's helping to prevent flooding. Walk us through, where is that money going?
Well, currently right now, because we are brand new, we're fledgling, by state statute, we shall have a work plan, which we have entered into an agreement, a contract with a consultant, one that is very familiar with the Pigeon Creek watershed, because they've done studies for Vanderburgh County, Gibson County, Warwick County, and so we've contracted with Christopher Burke Engineering, and they're going to do studies and work plans, and they're going to look over the creek and see what types of things that we can get done sooner with smaller amounts of money, and then look at larger projects as we get down the road. But we have just started billing, so,
It could be some time, is what you're saying.
yes, and I hate to say it, it is government. It takes us a little bit to get down the road, but
Sure.
It's a newly organized commission.
Walk me through the overall state of Pigeon Creek. Like, I know you can walk there along the Greenway. There's some access points, you can see it. Does it need a lot of cleanup or repair? What is the overall state of the creek?
There's been canoe trips up through there, and then, like I said, we do have the consultant that's coming. In fact, we're going to be doing site visits next week, October the 16th and 17th with them. They've already looked at some things. We are looking at, there are erosion, there are debris that's up against bridges and things that cause a problem there. Then some people feel that it's a refuse. So there's refrigerators and things that shouldn't be in there. And I wish people would understand that just because it's a ditch, creek, whatever, that doesn't mean you should dump your grass clippings, your tree limbs, and things like that, because it may not cause a problem right where you are, and it may wash down, but it's going to catch. And then it's, that little bit, and then another little bit, and then you end up with a blockage that causes problems for other people.
Why did you feel like this was something necessary to start right now? I know that we were just talking off camera. You've been with the surveyor's office since '82. You were elected as the Vanderburgh County Surveyor in 2020. Here we are now in 2025. And your time with that office, Linda, why right now is it so important?
Well, it wasn't as much as, it's been important. It's been in the minds of Vanderburgh County back in the 80s. The first county surveyor I worked for, it was something he was trying to get accomplished, trying to get it established as a regulated drain, trying to get it to be able to be funded, because that designation as a legal drain would allow the county to bill for the maintenance. But what has happened is in 2023, Indiana Code 14-30-5, Article 30.5, Watershed Development Commissions came into effect. So we, the county, myself, several other parties were involved with getting this started, and the initials, we put in for to do this in 2023, and we got it established in September of 24.
You put in like an RFP or like a request, or like
It was, you had to go through a certain procedure, and the biggest part of it was having public meetings and hearings, and then the Department of Natural Resources with Indiana Department of Natural Resources. You had to go through all these different procedures and meetings, and then we had to have I can't remember exactly what his title was, but we had a hearing officer, and it was kind of like a court case. The gentleman was sitting there, and he's like, so why should this happen? And we had different people's testimonies, which is all spelled out in the report that we had to submit. And then they had a meeting in September, and we were approved.
And how rare, for viewers at home who might not be aware of this, like how rare is it to have a watershed development commission?
We are the first in the state, and as far as I know, we're the only one of this particular
Wow.
under this particular statute. There are some other like watershed basins. They have a different name, but they were established in the code, and it specifies theirs, like Kankakee River Basin, and it spells it out. If you look in the Indiana code, it'll tell you all about that. Whereas this Watershed Development Commission statute allowed folks to do their own little thing based on very similar wordage as the other basins.
Yeah. And I know you touched on this briefly a little bit earlier, kind of about, some of the debris perhaps in Pigeon Creek, some of that erosion, some of those things. But what is the overall vision for this commission? I think we talked to about reducing flooding, but is there an overarching kind of vision that the work of this commission is expected to carry out and bring to fruition?
Well, part of that will be, we're going to see that in the work plan that's going to be developed. So we're working with that consultant, and yet we would like to see it to be cleaner. We would like to see less flooding. I don't know, we might be looking at obtaining storage areas. There's a lot of good things that could come out of this, and like I said, we're just kind of barely out of the woods on this because it just got September of 24, so we're October? We're
Just
a little
over
over
a
a
year,
year of
yeah.
being established. So
Yeah. Walk me through that collaboration then. I know we've got a lot of community partners, right? Perhaps the first thing that comes to mind is a water utility, neighborhood associations. I know we're just over a year in. Is there any collaboration or anything that you guys are looking, even perhaps in the future down the road?
we had a survey sent out to what we would call like the more informed, the other like county commissioners, the county highway engineers, other county surveyors, previous county surveyors here in Vanderburgh County, but we did reach out to a lot of different people that would be more, and I'm not saying this, just the more knowledgeable of what has been going on in Vanderburgh County. And then on October the 27th at 11 o'clock
Which is a Monday, I believe.
It is a
11
Monday.
o'clock.
It's going to be a public stakeholders meeting starting at 11.
Okay.
So we're inviting we're going to get a letter out to the United Neighborhood of Evansville and get those neighborhood associations. We have had some of the folks that are involved with some of those neighborhood associations at some of our meetings, but we're going to be asking them to come and, maybe they have some pictures, maybe they live on the creek, maybe they've experienced something that they could share with us, that we could share with our consultant. And
is that open to the public, or
it
just
will be
invite
open to the public,
So
yes.
the October 27th, 11 a.m. Where are we?
Room 301.
Room 301
In the Civic Center,
Civic
which
Center.
is the big
Okay.
room where
Sure.
the county commissioners, city council, county council meets. We have the capability to record it and televise it, or people could see it later. We're going to try to look at having people attend electronically if necessary.
What do you tell people at home watching, Linda, that think, we're already getting hit with property taxes. This is just another fee now that we have to pay. What do you tell those people at home watching right now that are thinking, why? Why this and why now?
The now is, like I said, the capability, the opportunity became available that we could actually do something, and we're, like I said, trying to look at what we can get done. For instance, we'd like to get a stream gauge. Right now, Vanderburgh County doesn't have a stream gauge on Pigeon Creek. It's been since the 80s that we had one. The closest one as stream gauge is in Fort Branch.
Wow.
Which a stream gauge would let you know about, how that water's rising. It's rising fast. Maybe you need to get it out, the information out to like your EMA, things like that, and just trying to make it a nicer and being able to do something for people, because currently, if something happens in the creek on your, like you live on the creek and trees fall in the creek, or somebody throws stuff in the creek and it ends up on your,
There's no way
shore,
to regulate or enforce.
It's yours.
It's yours.
It's
Okay.
yours. It's not, there's not a government, there had not been a government entity that could do anything about it. And we've had people that have spent substantial amounts of their own money to get things fixed.
Wow. And we know that that's going to be changing thanks to the work of you and your office
That
and
is
this commission.
That is a big hope of ours. And the worst part for me is that it has been a fledgling thing, and we're learning as we go as well. We are open to hear what's going on. And the people out there are the folks that are going to be able to bring that to us.
Great. And it sounds like you are making some progress. So Vanderburgh County Surveyor, I know we're out of time. I'm sorry, there's so much I could have you here for a whole half hour. Linda Freeman, thank you so much for making time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of our guests for joining us to talk about local water resources. I'm Noah Alatza, Chief Communications Officer for the University of Evansville. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.